Today's face-off on Fox Soul. Challengers Quan LX and Big Angry Adams. Ready to go blow by blow on those hot topics. Face-off on Fox Soul starts right now.
The lawsuit accuses quarterback DeShaun Watson of sexual assault and battery in October 2020 when he was a member of the Texans. The alleged incident occurred at the woman's apartment before the pair was to have dinner. This is the latest of more than 24 lawsuits from women accusing him of sexual assault and inappropriate behavior. He settled 23 of those lawsuits in 2022 and then served an 11-game suspension from the NFL.
In this round, here's Charles Big Angry Adams.
You know, I will say, and you know, when he was playing for the Texans, I've met him a few times. I was invited to a couple of his famous Halloween parties, and every time I interacted with him, DeShaun Watson seemed like a very soft-spoken, very dedicated, very nice guy to his sport. But it just shows you how there is an unknown duality to a lot of people, and sometimes the other side of the coin is something very dark and evil. So what we have, and this isn't the face-off F-off of the day, this is the first segment, but I do think it could have qualified for it. We have both him and the Cleveland Browns, and let me talk about both, right? With him, if he in fact did these horrible things that he's been accused of by dozens of women, and there were some early on accusers that it was established that they were sex workers looking for a check. It was also established that there were a number of women who were legitimate sports therapists, sports masseuses, that he bullied and coerced into sexual activities and pretty deviant stuff, right? Like, you know, in the penetrating the bum, so to speak, bottoming the quarterback, so to speak, that, you know, did not want to participate in that and felt forced. And that's horrible. That's heartbreaking. That's Harvey Weinstein level awfulness. Coupled with the fact that now, so worked into his contract, the Cleveland Browns gave this deviant everything. And in fact, they have set it up where he can, if any allegation is made for conduct that was prior to the execution of the contract, that he can't suffer a contractual money consequence. So the Browns, let's say this horrible allegations are established to be true, they still got to pay him all that damn money they gave him. And at some point, does ethics matter? You know, I've heard that from people who advocate for keeping Barry Bonds out of the Hall of Fame. Barry Bonds, arguably the greatest baseball player that ever played.
Not just Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens.
Well, right. But I want to speak specific to Barry. There are allegations of spousal abuse and misconduct that goes beyond performance-enhancing drugs that seems to mirror some horrible, you know, just bad allegations.
Yeah, but Babe Ruth has some similar allegations against him.
No, I know, but I'm talking about at no point did MLB say, yeah, we shouldn't let this bad guy play. Now, the Hall of Fame is saying we're not going to let this bad guy in. But at what point does the NFL say, you know, they love to platform all their social justice and everything nowadays, but what are they doing to really protect the public from people that are monstrous?
But we got to remember, these are only allegations. And just in the prior segment, you was advocating for those who are charged with sex crimes to not even have their mugshot released. And you was advocating that until they're convicted, that they should be anonymous to a great degree with no mugshot being released.
No, you're lying. Like
no, you said mugshot being released. That's giving some anonymity. So DeShaun Watson in this case, once again, as awful as it sounds on the surface, he is still innocent until these allegations have been proven. And in fact, let me say this to you. Out of the 23 cases he settled, not one of those cases went to trial. So we still don't know to this very day if any of those allegations were true or not true. But I want to advise him on this. If I may give you some advice, dear brother, do not settle this case. Once and for all, man, if you claim that you're innocent, and he claimed he's innocent, he claimed that this was an extortion attempt for money, he claimed he's not guilty of any of this. Well, guess what, DeShaun? Now it's your time with this new lawsuit to finally let the people hear you speak in a courtroom about these allegations that's leveled against you, whether they be true or a lie. Fight this case all the way, man, and have some credibility restored to your name. If he just settles this lawsuit, then once again, on the surface, it lends the appearance that he's what? Guilty of this.
Okay, first of all, there's a very big difference. First of all, I never said I want people accused to have anonymity. In fact, I said the opposite. I just said specifically the mugshot, everything else, and I never wanted to, unlike you, who wanted to restrain the free press, I did not at all. Now, the issue here is you're saying he's innocent until you are innocent in a criminal court until proven guilty. That is the assumption that the jury, the finder of fact, has
and I
to
know
make.
in a civil proceeding it's to put ponderous of evidence to a jury.
But
I understand
everybody
that.
in the real world, we're allowed to come to whatever conclusion we want. And the NFL is allowed to conduct its own investigation and come to the conclusions they want.
But we also got to acknowledge he was never criminally charged. He was never criminally charged.
I've had conversations with district attorneys that were involved in the case, and I've listened to those explanations, and I get the difficulty of proving these types of allegations, and his celebrity and his fame weighed heavily in it, but I firmly believe that he is guilty of being awful to innocent young women. I also firmly believe there were some awful parasitic women that were using a sexual encounter with him, consensual, as an avenue for getting money. But he's not going to try this case because he doesn't want it out there.
If you were hired,
if you believe his nonsense, he would, but he ain't.
If you were hired as his counsel in this particular lawsuit, what would you advise him?
I would advise him. Well, first I'd talk to him, right? And if I found out. If I came to the conclusion...
If he's claiming his innocence like he's done publicly, what would you tell him?
Well, it would depend on my investigation. I would conduct my own investigation.
So you wouldn't believe your client?
No. Only a fool believes every lie a client says.
You're right about
I would
that
conduct my investigation, and if I thought it was a viable case that we could win, I would then look at it like an economist and say, what's the harm and what's the consequence? And if I thought that it was his best interest to pay money while demanding a quiet settlement, an undisclosed amount, and a gag order,
work no more.
I would have done that.
You and I both know those non-disclosure agreements don't work anymore.
If they're done right, they do.
Ask Bill Cosby.
Okay, well, the problem is...
He thought the same thing with his quote-unquote non-disclosure agreements.
Oh,
wait a minute.
That's different.
Donald Trump.
Can I explain?
Donald Trump.
Well, actually, Donald Trump prevailed.
He had a non-disclosure agreement.
He prevailed
that
on
porn star also.
Yeah, right, he prevailed on subsequent litigation.
And that porn star went right around and tricked him.
And she lost, had a big judgment issued against her, which she had to pay him back. But it was different in Cosby. In Cosby, there was an agreement not to prosecute. Right, and an NDA can't impose
the women were not supposed to even talk about it publicly either after that.
It's different when you're talking to law enforcement.
They're supposed to remain silent.
And at the end of the day, you can't constrain law enforcement from doing the right thing because that's not in the best interest of society, right? And the truth is that Bill Cosby was only allowed to get away with it for so long.
We've seen women in these cases,
famous.
some women.
There are women that lie, of course.
In cases like this, have signed these non-disclosure agreements, and when they spend all the money, they want to go public again for more money.
Well, I mean, good for them.
Certainly not all, but there have been some.
All right, but there's also women that make false accusations, but they're overwhelmingly the minority.
But
most are telling the damn truth.
They're not prosecuted when they do make false allegations.
Tried to abduct a teenager in Manassas, and why he is even in the United States. It happened as the girl was walking to school last Thursday morning.
Fox 5's Homa Bash is live at the Prince William County Courthouse with the latest. Homa.
Hey guys, good evening. That suspect was here in court this morning, currently being held without bond. Now, immigration officials tell me he is from Peru and here in the United States illegally, now facing multiple charges. This is a mugshot of 23-year-old Jesus Enrique Ramirez Cabrera, who is now charged with abduction, impersonating an officer, robbery using force, and intimidation. He is the man that Manassas City Police say grabbed a 16-year-old girl on Thursday morning as she walked from Clover Hill Road to Osborne High School and pulled her into his red Jeep. Police say he stole $2 from her, along with her backpack and laptop, before she was able to jump out of the vehicle about 2 miles away near Old Town Manassas.
My first instinct as a mother, stop and see what's going on.
Summer Stacy was on her way to work when she saw the teenager in distress, pulled over, and called 911.
A female, possible head injury due to jumping from vehicle.
It was just concerning because there's so many people driving past, not worried about this little girl sitting on the side of the road, somebody's daughter, somebody's sister.
You knew something was wrong.
Something wasn't right.
According to him.
In this round, here's Quanell X.
Charles, watching news stories like that really anger me. It really enrages me. I am a father, I have daughters, and man, I have no empathy, sympathy, or an ounce of forgiveness for any man that preys on children, abducts and kidnaps them and robs them, and probably had all kind of other ideas in his mind. And this was an immigrant that came into America illegally from Peru, and now his court-appointed lawyer, God, how in the hell, you a lawyer, how in the hell did this court-appointed lawyer argue that this man should be given a bond because he has no previous criminal history or violent history? And we don't even know what this man's real name is, being an illegal immigrant coming in from Peru. And of course, if there's ever been a flight risk, how could an illegal immigrant in the country not be a flight risk? This is sickening, man, but I'm sick and tired of this. Here lately, in the last year, we've seen some immigrants commit some heinous crimes, and it appears like they've been targeting females for these heinous crimes. We just saw the jogger who was kidnapped and killed and raped by an illegal immigrant. This is, and it's like one case after another.
Yeah.
Exactly, brother. So this is scary because it seems as though this idea that's been floating around the country that some of these countries like Peru, Ecuador, El Salvador, and Mexico, and Venezuela in particular, have been taking their worst criminals who are getting out of prison or just putting them out of the country and say, go to America, run across the border, giving us their worst, because when they get here, they're not even here 30 days, and they're committing some real heinous crimes.
You know, Quanell, I will say that, initially, you know, we've been doing this for almost a decade. I am glad to see that you're no longer pushing your it's stolen land, everybody that wants to come from Mexico and Central America and South America.
I still believe Mexico. For Mexico, I still believe it.
You're a big advocate
Texas, Arizona, California was stole from the Mexicans. And I have no problem with the Mexicans coming home.
Okay.
This was theirs.
Anyhow, so any nation, and this is a nation, needs a controlled border, right? And we also need consequences. In the past, before this new progressive paradigm of let everybody come in because we're trying to change America holistically and make it so that the Democrats don't even feel like they have to address the concerns of their constituents, which they are rapidly ignoring at every level. Instead, what we have is, instead of people coming to this country illegally, being afraid of breaking the law because they know they'll get deported, so you had illegal entrants that were far more law-abiding than regular citizens and other types of immigrants. They were the most law-abiding subgroup, right? Because they knew there would be a massive consequence if they broke the law. Instead, we have people traveling to America for crime tourism. We have people acting with complete impunity.
So who do you trust more in fixing the border problem, Kamala Harris or former President Donald Trump?
The results speak for themselves. And during Donald Trump's presidency, he had the lowest numbers in modern history of illegal entry to this country. He greatly reduced the number of people that were coming in during the Obama administration. Prior to taking office after his victory, Joe Biden made a comment about he was going to put a moratorium on deportations. He later claimed that comment was designed to the people that were having active deportation cases. But when Central and South America and the Middle East and Africa and Asia heard this, we had a tidal wave flood of people who were paying billions to the narco-terrorists, who are now more human traffickers than narco-terrorists, pushing people into this country. And we saw Venezuela empty out their prisons and send them here, and it's
But horrifying. I saw a video the other night that was quite interesting to me, somewhat shocking, that in Chicago, they were interviewing some gang members.
On the O Block?
Gang members.
Yeah.
And these were straight up hood brothers who were saying the Haitians have come over and are just out of control with the crime. They're committing crimes that the brothers on O Block would never even commit. Right. They're doing things that's even shocking to them. And I didn't even realize that many thousands of Haitians had been placed in one community at that large number. And so now what you have is our brothers and sisters from Haiti who are there, who are trying to survive, but a number of them are hardened criminals that have now turned the community against those. It's a bad situation, man. And what I don't like is and I gotta be honest about this, Charles. how can we trust Kamala Harris to fix a problem that she helped tremendously create?
Well, she also participated.
How can we trust her to fix a border problem when she didn't even want to acknowledge just a year ago that there was a border problem?
Yeah. Well, she also didn't want to acknowledge the failing mental acuity of her running mate, Joe Biden, her prior running mate. Here's the issue with Kamala Harris is we don't know where she stands because she flip-flops, she changes, she tells people what they want. And what we want to hear as the electorate is we want to hear the truth. Does she have the ability to fix the situation? Yes, right? But then we also had the complicit press. She was the border czar. The media regurgitated, it was a narrative pushed by the Biden, and they gave her this task. And then she failed at it. She went to the root causes, which root causes means I'm going to go give billions of dollars in foreign aid to countries around the world, and I'm going to get the personal credit for it, and it'll help me in my career, but I don't have to fix anything. Because root causes say, oh, well.
No politician can help do for another country's citizens what we're failing first to do for our own right here in America.
It's disgusting. Why should we give foreign aid to countries with universal health care?
We have too many veterans who are homeless on the streets of America.
We have too many people dying
because
of poverty.
Live.
Right.
And we got to,
but let's be fair. The
That's
Republicans
the
don't
secret.
care about the working class
That's
either.
the untold secret.
But
how many people are starving in America because of poverty? They don't want to talk about that. That's a real legitimate issue.
I actually served on the board of a community nutrition institute that focused on hunger in children in America, right? And all the roadblocks set up to prevent addressing the issue effectively. So we have the Republicans who don't care about the poor, who are just advancing corporate interests. And then we have the Democrats that also no longer care about America's poor, are focusing all their energies onto immigrants.
The Republicans don't care about the poor, hungry kids. The Democrats will say we're setting up a program to feed the hungry kids, put their friends over the program, and pay their friends 80% of what comes in, and 20% goes to the poor. That's the hell with all of that.
It's absolutely disgusting, and I will tell you, I think America has a bad choice to make in November. I can't tell you, my rule is pick the one you hate the least.
Gerald come out of the small back window of his truck, and with his arms and his head, just his arms and his head, and the truck down and sunk with him in it.
As a pickup truck was sinking into the Indian River Lagoon, Ariana Ebert jumped into the water to help save the person inside who had just run off the road. You can see Ariana and another Good Samaritan, Don Cobb, in the water trying to pull the man out.
He was blue and purple. At that point, we had him about halfway out, I would say, but he was caught on his belt.
The man was driving along the Pineda Causeway when he crashed through the guardrail and landed in the water Saturday. Ariana and Don worked to keep his head above the water. He was stuck and they couldn't get him out. They were not looking good.
At one point, Don yelled, "Pray," because me and him were each other and just thought this outcome was not going to be the best. We didn't think Gerald would still be here with us.
That's when a Brevard County Sheriff's deputy arrived and jumped.
Well, this is our, we're always doing the Face-Off F-Up, right? That's a new season segment. And I personally felt like we were putting a lot of negativity and toxicity out there. And man, we're triggering some poor young folk that don't want to hear all this bad news. So I said, why don't we do it with one nice people? You suggested naming it Faceoff Friend. We should have a cool graphic that would intro that. But, I guess Matt Horn, our producer, didn't put that at the top of the list. But our Face-Off Friends. He's more
concerned about finding some pumps and skinny jeans.
Oh, come on, man. Now, let's talk about Ariana Ebert and Don Cobb, right? Ariana and Don both just saw a truck go in the water. You don't have an affirmative obligation to save lives.
No.
In Melbourne, Florida, they risk their lives. Whenever you put yourself in that situation like a sinking car, you are putting yourself in danger. And they were struggling. Like one of the two men, their belt was caught on something in the car while they were trying to free him, and he was turning purple. And they had the strength of character and the peace of mind to focus on the task and get him out. Now we had Brevard County Sheriff's Department step. Congrats to those officers too as well, who are out there working to save lives. But that was their job, and they did their job well, and they should be applauded for it. but there is zero chance these people would continue to walk this earth and be alive if it were for Ariana and Don, and I think we got to give them some big applause.
So it was 2 involved in rescuing the people from the truck?
Right, and 2 people in the truck.
You know, let me applaud you, young woman. I hope that one day you will see this interview or see this debate and know we appreciate you. We thank you. We need more Americans like you that will put your own safety at risk to save the life of another. I applaud you. Thank you for what you did.
I'm wrong. It was 1 person in the truck.
Person?
2 people saved it.
So the 2 people saved. Okay.
2 people saved. The 1 person.
2 involved
stuck.
in helping to save. So to the 2, same goes for you. We thank you too. We honor you, and we thank you for your sacrifice for doing what you didn't have to do. And if you contact this show, I know I didn't tell you all this. If you contact this show, let us know who you are, and I would like to pitch in and buy you all dinner. In fact, Charles and I do it together.
Okay.
We'll send you a gift certificate to where you all can go have dinner on us.
I gotta press.
We don't want to say we appreciate you. We want to show you we appreciate you. So you and I pitch in and buy them both dinner.
Now you noticed they were white people. We got to take a moment to appreciate that my partner in crime here,
their color means nothing to me.
Some white
it
people
is your
dinner.
actions
I tell you,
that
I am shocked and I applaud
it. It is not your color, it's
We're
your
not all
actions
bad.
that I honor.
Well, I've been saying that for years.
Reach out to us
I've been saying for
and
years,
let us buy you all dinner.
It's your individual character, not the color of your skin, but I didn't think you agreed.
Because you're a Klan member. But let us buy you all dinner.
All right. So you're going to take my evil money too, Quanell. All right.
Now you're going to give it to them.
He might try to send y'all
like
an Applebee's gift certificate or some Chili's. Listen, we'll get you something
nice. Well, you white
nice.
folks do love Applebee's.
I mean
Cracker Barrel, something like that.
I'm more of an Olive Garden person. That's just me, though.
That's it for the Face-Off on Fox Soul. We'll catch you next time.